Hey, welcome back. If I seem rusty at this, there's a good reason for it. It's been a while. But I wanted to put something up to kind of go over a topic of discussion that came up when I was emailing Peter from Mesa in regards to using a 24 volt or a single 24 volt power supply for contactors as well as the Mesa cards. And his recommendation to me to prevent any kind of voltage spiking or inrush current or anything like that is to install flyback diodes across the positive and negative coil terminals on the contactor, which will prevent any kind of arcing or sparking that can potentially feed back through the power and get to the card and damage the components of the card. So a flyback diode is this little guy right here. And this diode, what a diode does is it prevents current flow in a single direction. So it only allows the power or the voltage to go through one way of the diode. And in the event of the voltage trying to go back the other way, the diode actually stops that current from flowing. To give you a quick example, if I take my trusty multimeter, I actually just had to, I've had this multimeter for, I don't even know, I've probably had this multimeter for 15, 20 years. And I accidentally tried to test out a high amperage circuit without plugging into the high amperage circuit port on the multimeter, and I blew the fuse. So I just replaced the fuse, I replaced the batteries, and I didn't even know, to be honest with you, I will be full disclosure, I didn't even realize that this multimeter had batteries in it. I've had this thing so long and the batteries are so old that I didn't even know that it was a thing. And when I went to take it apart, I mean, obviously batteries that are old, they tend to leak acid, so I had to clean off the battery terminals inside the multimeter, but I digress. So for right now, I've got it set to beep, just to show you guys. So if I touch this wire here and this wire here, you'll notice that there's no beeping because the diode is preventing the current flow in that one direction. So now if I just flip it over and I touch the same here and I go here, you see that I've got continuity going in the direction of positive, the red terminal being along this silver band. I'm not sure how good that's going to show up in the camera, but hopefully you see that. So it's the same basic concept when it comes to the contactor. You install the diode to where the silver band is on the positive side of the contactor, and it will prevent backflow of current through the diode. So I've got the positive and negative terminals on the 24 volt supply going to A1 positive and A2 negative on this contactor. The contactor's triggered, and I've got this e-stop here. I'll shut the light off because this camera doesn't like to pick it up. My other one does, but the picture quality is so blurry that it's really hard to see. But so if I turn off the light, if I trigger this e-stop, you'll see that there's a spark on that contact. And the flyback is the power dissipating between the two contacts of this e-stop. So to prevent that, again, we just install this flyback diode here. I'll take the silver band side and I'll just put it into here for right now. I'll just kind of wedge this in. There we go. Just kind of wedge that in there. And now when I turn off the light and I go to trigger that e-stop, you'll see that there's no sparking because the flyback is getting absorbed by that diode. It's kind of working like a shock absorber to prevent the current from backflowing through those two contacts. So that being said, again, these are just little 4001 diodes, and apparently these are like the end-all be-all of diodes for this type of situation. I did actually order some larger ones, and I'm probably going to return them because this one seems to work just fine and dandy. So I'll leave a link in the description in case anybody's interested in getting a couple of these things. But I just wanted to go over that real fast just to kind of give you guys a heads up that it is recommended from Peter at Mesa himself to install flyback diodes across these coils in the case of using these 24 volt supplies for powering the Mesa cards as well as these contactors, because it just prevents more damage from happening. I'd rather replace these things on a monthly basis than have to replace the Mesa card, once a year even. So that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.